What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about OSCR Health. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So OSCR is down 0.42%, 16.37 the low, 17.27 the high. So you did have a nice spike right there. I'll break it down on what really prompted that in a second, but 5.7 million shares being traded. So rather quiet today. Today's ultimately more of a reflection day because there hasn't been that much in kind of big data points. We have one Fed speaker, which didn't really amount to anything, Bowman, but what happened yesterday, the crazy sell-off, the market seeing that as unjustified. So many stocks are starting to really move higher. OSCR, regrettably, is lagging. And the real reason why they are lagging is because of this right here. So Johnson saying that there was no commitment of any extension. This was one of the main reasons why OSCR had this very nice push higher from about that $13 range to $16, and then eventually kind of continued that good momentum. That is exactly what prompted all of that. So now that's being kind of stuck in limbo. It's not selling off just yet because, again, there's a lot of grayness to that, but you know how the market is. So when it comes down to analysts, we actually did have one bullish rating that kind of came out because of all the good momentum, and which I brought up in my last video. So this was a upgrade, a buy, $25 price target, Piper Sandler, Jessica, who has a 37% success rating. So not all that great, but nonetheless, this potential news might cause some new analyst ratings to come out and be fairly negative, because you can see just there is a lot of bears that do not want OSCR to succeed. You finally had kind of a glimmer of hope through Piper Sandler, but that was possibly now going to be short-lived. As a consensus though, 16.06 is that price target among all the ratings, and that does work out to be a 3.02% downside. So analysts, as per usual, don't really like OSCR, and I think just Wall Street in general really doesn't like innovative, kind of disrupting companies such as OSCR. But aside from that though, there really hasn't been that much in news associated to the company itself. Last news came out November the 10th, which was roughly the time frame I last did my OSCR video. Aside from that though, looking at shorts, 13.18% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 29.3 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow is very low, 0.34%. That's an annual rate, not a daily rate on a side note. DTC being 1.69 days, so that does signal that shorts are rather overextended, because that does factor in the average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. But at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 155,000 shares. So they're not doing too much, but still they are starting to increase, and this is kind of breaking their trend. So they went from a crazy 37.05% to, looks like, a low of about 11%. That was kind of beginning of November-ish. So in general, it does look like they might be starting to increase a little bit. I think we need a lot more further clarification on this. And even aside from that though, a lot of the data that is going to be coming out later this week, primarily Wednesday and also Thursday with challenger job cuts, Friday PCE and so forth, that's going to change the market's perception of this. So right now we have a 87.2% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. And so essentially, if we get some good data, or I guess negative data slightly, to justify a rate cut, this is where the market could really move higher and start to price in the 25 basis point cut. That would be a pretty good catalyst for OSCR and just, again, the broader market. Aside from all of that, looking at the options, 1.3 million in calls, 413,000 in puts, but 45% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around 18. So a lot of optimism is on the table still. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 16. So given where we are at, there is a lot more upside than down, but it does look like OSCR is starting to kind of take a hit right now. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that does play out. So far, surprisingly, no transactions on the secondary market above $100,000. This is why I kind of feel like OSCR might have a little bit of consolidation because of this right here and how algorithmic trading is kind of moving OSCR. So it is most likely going to pick up on this and other articles and entities kind of talking about that, and you might see a little bit of suppression, because from this information or lack of information, you can clearly see no institutions aren't really doing anything with OSCR right now. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool, which still in comparison is rather quiet. Most of this is going to be linked to shorts though, so something just to keep in mind. Aside from that, with it at 1656, it is trading right on this pivot point. So 1657, best case scenario, you really want to watch for it to close above that. And that way you could see a nice continued push higher. Regrettably, if it does break below that, then you could see some further consolidation. So 1410 and then 1258 is going to be the next strong kind of support points. Aside from all of that though, OSCR actually did have some good momentum, was really building up, broke past easily that 200-day moving average, struggled a little bit with that 100, then we got that good rating, which pushed it to that 50. It did fail to really get above that 50, so that blue line right there, but right now we're in consolidation mode, so we're just wedge bound between that 100 and 200. So over the next couple of trading days, for those of you that want to dollar cost average, swing trade, just watch for 1602 to be kind of the diamond or support level, and that is that 200-day moving average. Flip side, 1715 is going to be that 100-day moving average. I think for the rest of the week, kind of OSCR moving higher or lower is all going to depend on data points and how the market interprets all of that. So again, just kind of watch for all that. Because of the recent price action though, you see stochastic RSI relatively overbought, which again is kind of normal, nothing really wrong with that, but that usually does mean the first sign of weakness. You could see some consolidation, plus you see a little bit of a deviation, so red line above that blue, so you might see some further consolidation similar to what happened in October right over here. Looking at the market position on a side note though, it could have gone either way and still could. I don't see OSCR down and out just yet, but you have a strong wall willing of sellers right here and also buyers. So all OSCR needs is a nice push higher, and it could easily push to roughly around that 50-day moving average again, or flip side, it could get pushed lower where you could see a retest of that kind of about 1550 for the most part. So right now we're kind of level ground. There hasn't been any new analyst ratings, no real articles. Some articles just coming out saying, why did OSCR go down 7%? It wasn't just them, it was the broader market, and that is because we did have some unofficial Black Friday data saying that there was record sales. That isn't the narrative that the market wants. The market wants the narrative of, oh my God, we're struggling, consumers are struggling, labor data is really bad, and we need to have a cut. If we have consumers out there buying record amounts of stuff, that usually doesn't mean and kind of justify a rate cut. So this is why the market did kind of throw a little bit of a temper tantrum yesterday. So definitely hats off to those individuals that did buy. But let me know your thoughts on OSCR. Are you buying? Are you selling? What's your kind of general thoughts on all that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.